Hi VC, this is Aaron, Mitha Alamere, and today I'm doing a contest. And I've only been in the VC about 2 weeks, and I'm just amazed at the kindness and everything of the vinyl community. And I love talking to people back and forth about music. And I thought I'd do a contest to get to know people better, and hopefully this will be interesting. So what this is you'll have to name at least 8 bands that have 3 albums or less. 3 full-length albums. They can have EPs, but 3 albums of full length in their career. So I was going through and I was amazed how many bands I thought only had a couple records had a lot more than that they'd been doing through the 2000s. So it's a little harder than it sounds. And I picked 8 because my birthday is on 8/8, which is coming up, my 50th birthday actually. And I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I'm going to make this. Yeah, they have to be, at least one of the records has to be from the 80s or 90s. So you can have 2 from the 70s and at least one of them from the 80s, or one from like 1999 and the other ones can be in the 2000s, that's fine. And I'm going to center on, I call it heavy metal, but back when I was growing up, heavy metal was everything from Bon Jovi to Poison to Metallica to Slayer to, Creator. Everything. It was just metal. And now everyone has these subdivisions and it's all separated. But anything that's, hard rock to heavy metal, that everyone has their own opinion on it, and that's fine. So that's the rules. And now for the prize. Now I have to tell a little bit of a backstory here. About 5 years ago, I was in a grocery store talking to a guy about records, and the manager overheard me. He said, "Records, you talking about vinyl records?" I go, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Well, I've been wanting to get rid of my collection that I have out. It's been in my garage since the late '80s." So instantly I was like, "Oh wow, that's what I like." And he's like, "Yeah, I liked hard rock and heavy metal, and I took really good care of them." And we agreed on a price. So I met him later that night, and the first thing I saw was Queensryche's debut and a couple other ones that I really liked. So I said, "Okay, I'll take them." He said, "Are you sure you don't want to look through them?" I said, "No, I'll take them." So I packed them up, took them to my house, and he said there was about 350 records there. So I got them home, and I took them in the house to unload them, and they were so dusty I had to put them out on the porch. It ended up taking me till 2 in the morning going through these records just to clean off the dust, clean them up. And my wife was in there going, "What's wrong?" Because I was like, oh my God. Every time I was flipping through, there was so much good stuff. There was about 40 or 50 sealed records. And it was just amazing stuff. A lot of the sealed ones I had to open because they were kind of puffing out. And when I did that, I cut them open and they went back down. They played good. One of those was For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge from Van Halen, was one of the sealed ones I had to open, which is a pretty hard record to find. And so what I'm going to do is the winner of this contest will get to pick between 3 of these records. And these are all sealed from the 80s. The first one, Number of the Beast. Sealed, unopened, from 1982. This is an RCA Record Club edition, but it's still sealed. Now, these are just how I got them. I put them in plastic right away, but it's got a little bit of the corner coming up here of the cellophane. But other than that, it's perfect. It looks great. Look at that. The next one, Manowar, Kings of Metal. Still has the price tag from the local record store here. I've been going there since the 80s, early 80s. That have been around. Budget Audio and Video, it's called now. It's in Pocatello, Idaho. And so this is a great record too. Sealed, original. And then the last one, Peter Criss solo, still sealed. It's got a cut corner, but this is a sealed original copy. Nice price on that. I wish all records were still that price now. So that's the winner. We'll get to choose that. And if I get enough entries, I will have first and second place. And the only thing you have to do to enter is sub to my channel and then make a video showing your 8 favorite bands that only had 3 records or more, or less, I mean. And I like that because it showcases a lot of the bands that aren't as well known. And, that eliminates all the big bands right away. Anything, and even a lot of the obscure ones have a lot more records than you think until you look into it. So you can do more than that if you like, but at least 8. And I will look through the videos, and then I will give a comment back saying you're in. If you put at least 8 of them, you can put like 20 if you want. I'm going to show about 25. But I went through and I found 70, and I had like about 100 more that I thought were good, but that had more records than I thought. So as long as there's 8 of them, and I'll be a little lenient on it, but try to be as careful as you can on that. So the first band I'm showing, they had 2 full-length records is all. This is Badlands. I've shown them before. Great band with Jakey Lee, Eric Singer on the drums, Ray Gillen. And this is their first record. And then their second record, I only have on cassette. Voodoo Highway, this is a great record too. And you can show records, cassettes, or CDs as long as you have at least one copy of one of their albums. That's what I'm doing here. So my next one's going to be Mother Love Bone. Great grunge, early grunge band, one of my favorite bands ever. And this here is a compilation of like pretty much everything they did, because the lead singer Andrew Wood died right after their first album was released. They had an album and an EP, and then this is a compilation. And then I also have Apple, their full-length record, which is an amazing record. And 2 members of this went on to form Pearl Jam, Jeff Ament and Stone Gossard, after Andrew Wood died. So without Mother Love Bone, there would be no Pearl Jam. My next band is they only had 1 record. They're called My Little Funhouse. Really good band, kind of I think they're from the Netherlands if I remember right, but they're really good. They got I Want Some of That, LSD, Anonymous, Rain Town just is a great song. They're kind of they'd be considered maybe hard rock now, but back then they were metal. Everything was metal back then. Okay, now I've got this band. I only have 1 cassette of them. I think they had 3 full-length albums, but this band, they're kind of an alternative metal, non-fiction. This is In the Know. This album's amazing. It's kind of progressive and just killer record. It's very, very good. Next up, I'll go with Rough Cut, one of my favorite bands from the 80s. Had Paul Shortino on vocals, who went on to sing on a Quiet Riot record. This is their first record. And then I have Rough Cut Wants You, another great record. This is a little heavier, but I like the first one a little better. And actually, one of the guitarists, Amir Dirac, he actually he was in an alternative band called Orgy after this, which is kind of interesting for a heavy metal guy. Okay, next up I got Salty Dog, another great band, kind of a bluesy rock, heavy metal, and their first song on here, Come Along, is a great song. My friend's band used to play it, and the people at the clubs, when they played that song, they thought it was my friend's band song, I think, and it was always a big crowd favorite. It's really good. It has a killer bass line, and it's just real catchy, and it gives you energy. It's a killer album. Next up, got the Sea Hags is their one and only album. Love this ever since it came out. Got it on vinyl and on cassette. And that's kind of a heavier sleaze rock metal. They're killer. Okay, next up I've got, I only have these guys. I have a cassette and a CD. There's Shotgun Messiah. There's their first 2. This is their first album. Second album, Second Coming. Second Coming is one of my favorite records ever. And then they had a third album called Violent New Breed, which was almost industrial sounding. It was really good though. It's kind of hard to find. I used to have it on cassette, but I lost it. I don't know where it's at. I mean, I used to have over 10,000 cassettes in my life, but I'm down to about 300. So just over the years, they've come and gone. And then after that, I'm going to put, this is actually my favorite female singer, Smash Gladys, Social Intercourse. Her name is Sally Cato. And this is a very bluesy, heavy rock record. It's really good. Really good record. Sleaze metal, killer stuff. Then I've got another one of my favorite bands. I say that a lot, but these bands really are my favorite bands. They've been my favorites forever, so I have a lot of them. When I like someone, I usually love them forever. This is Spread Eagle. Their first album, they had another one. I can't remember the name. I don't have it anymore. I used to. But it was really good, too. These guys are probably the heaviest sleaze metal band. They're from New York, and they're just killer. Every song is good. It's heavy. It's bluesy. It's rocking. Killer stuff. Then we got one of my favorite bands ever, again, Sweet F.A., Stick to Your Guns. Great band, really bluesy, heavy, bluesy, acoustic, ballads, everything. They're I think the most underrated band ever. I love these guys. Great record all the way through. And then their second record, Temptation, another great record. This is not quite as heavy. There's some heavy moments on it that are really good, and it's real bluesy, and it has my two favorite ballads of all time, which are Your Love and Paralyzed by You. And that's cool because they weren't overplayed because they weren't known, so you don't you don't know them. And then this band, I love this band too. Listened to them ever since they came out. Sword. This is Sweet Dreams. I love this record. Their first album, Metalized, was really killer too. I don't have a burned CD of that, and but I prefer this one over Metalized, even though Metalized is amazing too. But these guys are a little heavier, kind of power metal. The Trouble Is was a single, Prepare to Die, The Threat, Life on the Sharp Edge. Great record. Killer stuff. Okay, next I'm going with Sister Whiskey. I only have this on cassette. It was never released on vinyl. I love this record. It's another one of the bluesy rock bands from like the early 90s. And this album, you can't tell you how many times in my younger days partying, we listened to this and we just keep playing it over and over and over. It's just so good. And it's called Liquor and Poker. Really good. Killer stuff. Sister Whiskey. Kind of a rare band. And then I only have one album of these guys. This is Union. And I don't believe they were ever released on vinyl. But what this is John Corabi on vocals, Bruce Kulick on guitar, and it sounds like you'd expect from those two. It's an amazing record. They also had one called The Blue Room, which I only have on a burned CD. But this album it's like the bluesy metal that I love. It's just killer stuff. Union. Then my last cassette I'm showing, because these were never released on vinyl, and a funny story, I went to order this on vinyl, and then I ended up getting a whole nother band from the 70s, which I ended up liking a lot. But this is Widowmaker, Blood and Bullets, Dee Snider's band after Twisted Sister, and they had 2 albums. Standby for Pain was after this. I don't have it anymore, and that's a heavier album. This is as good as any Twisted Sister. It's so good. It's killer. If you like Twisted Sister, Dee Snider, you'll love this. Okay, next up, I've got a band called Hermano. They started in 1998, so they just made the cut. But they're John Garcia from Caius. It's his side band. And this is the only one I have on vinyl. Their vinyl is really expensive, hard to find. And this is only a suggestion. It's got The Bottle, Alone Jefe, Manager Special, Landetta, Motherload. It's just killer rock. And then they have one of my favorite CDs ever, which, let me grab it, it's right here. Never mind, I don't know where I put it. It's called Dare I Say. They're one. It's one of my favorite albums ever. Okay, then after that I'm going to go Caps and Boots. Great record too. This is Joel Ellis on vocals. He's a killer singer. He's also in a band called Heavy Bones, which I don't have them anymore. I wish I did. They were really good. But this has Japanese guitarist and bass player, an American drummer and singer, and it's really good. Her Monkey. I used to watch that video over and over. I love it. Okay, then I got the Four Horsemen. Nobody Said It Was Easy. These are killer, heavy, bluesy stuff I love. Just killer stuff. They only have this in an EP. They're an amazing band. And then this band I just got into more recently. It's called Hits. They're really good. Backstabber. Some of their stuff you listen to and like, wow, it's just kicks you in the face. And then they got some ballady stuff, but their heavy stuff is just really catchy and really good. And then this is their second album here. It's not quite as good. I prefer the first one. This one just didn't grab me like the first one, but it's all right. Then I've got, this is kind of a twofer. This is a band called Lost Boys. I love Lost Boys. Randy O is a singer, and the guitarist was Jeff Duncan. And they were from another band, which I'll just show. And they only had this one record, and this is just really unique, great album. I love this record. Every song, Cool Me Down, The Boulevard, Crying Out, Right on Track, just killer. And then those two guys were from this band, Odin, who only had one album in this EP. I only have this EP. And they were featured on the movie Decline of Western Civilization, the metal years. And this is a really good too, but Lost Boys is better. This is I love Odin too. They're good. Then I got one of my favorites, another one of my favorites, the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. This is their first record. Nothing sounded like it when it came out. Really nothing does today even still. And this one had Robert Fleischman on vocals, Dana Strum on the bass, Bobby Rock on the drums. Killer record. And then All Systems Go. And they switched singers to Mark Slaughter on here. This is where Mark Slaughter got his start. This is a great record too. It has Love Kills, which was on one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Then I got an obscure band here, Life, Sex, and Death, The Silent Majority. This album is very unique, very heavy, but it's just really good. The lead singer is, you've never heard anything like him. His name was Stanley, and they claim he was a homeless guy they found on the streets, and he has kind of a lounge singer voice, but then he does this heavy stuff, and it's just amazing. Just great, great stuff. If you ever get a chance to listen to this, listen. Great record. Then I'm going to go with The Organization. Now, The Organization is basically Death Angel without the singer Mark Ossegata. And this, I don't think they were ever released on vinyl. It's their first one. I love this record. Fire Burning, Free Burning, Withdrawal, Been Nice, Brainstorm, killer stuff. And the guitarist, Rob Cavastani, is the singer. And then it's the Savor the Flavor, the Other Organization record. It's basically, it's a little mellower than Death Angel, not quite as thrash, but it's just as good. It's killer. I love it. Then this band here is really unique, Strip Mind. They're kind of like a thrash band with sleaze metal lyrics, and they have two singers. But interestingly enough, their drummer actually became the famous member of this band because he is Sully Erna, who formed Godsmack, and amazingly, he doesn't even sing on this. The two other guys sing, and Sully Erna just plays drums, and he is an amazing drummer. This album just blows me away every time I hear it. Strip Mind, What's in Your Mouth? Then I got, to finish off, I'm going to go with Watchtower. Now this is a progressive metal band from the early 80s. And this is a compilation album, kind of. They only had one, maybe two albums and two EPs. And the singer of this is Jason McMaster, who went on to be in Dangerous Toys and then Broken Teeth. And this is really killer stuff. And then later on, they've got a new singer now. And this is an EP of theirs called Concepts of Math Book 1, Very Prog. They were always a very prog, technical band. Really good stuff. Watchtower. So that's basically what I'm looking for. And try not to use just solo artists. You can use them if it's a band. But try not to use, for example, Bruce Dickinson or just a solo artist. But just try to use just bands. Vinnie Vincent Invasion was a band. Or like Mossy's a band. But I tried to use Mossy, but they had too many records. And so there it is. And good luck, and I hope everyone enjoys this, and that's it. Viva la metal.